Hi there, Felipe, your crazy creative designer. Welcome back to another video. Thank you very much for taking a look at my channel, taking a look at my video. If you find some value from the video, do hit the like button, subscribe. I would love to have you over and have you accompany what I do. I talk a lot about design, entrepreneurship, and the future of being your own man, basically. So yeah, today I just wanted to connect a little bit on one of my earlier videos, which concerns itself with bipolar disorder, which is something I have had for over 10 years and diagnosed for over 7 years. And I just wanted to talk to you, man to man, face to face, digital face to face, but in a way that for those out there who struggle with mental health and who struggle with maybe they are bipolar or they have other types of personality disorder, like borderline personality disorders, or even schizophrenia or multiple personality disorder, or whatever it is that ails you, or even depression or ADHD, or whatever it is that ails your mind. I think hopefully you can empathize, you can sympathize, you can identify, and in that way you can possibly recognize that it's not the end of the world. It could be worse. And so, yeah, just wanted to talk to you about my experience in that field and how I have turned it into one of my absolute superpowers. That's actually my bipolar disorder. So let's get into it. So for those out there, what is bipolar disorder? Bipolar is, as the name says, bipolarity, as the name implies, actually. It means contrasting moods, contrasting personality. What does it mean? It kind of means that I have very highs and very lows. So very high highs and very low lows. So imagine a healthy person walking through life and they're on their everyday mission to become their own superhero. And let's say they have sad days and they have positive days, and imagine it like a curve. Okay, so imagine that people have a normal. So there's a normal baseline, which is the neutral standard. That's the normal. Okay, and then if you have a positive experience, you have a high, which goes maybe from the normal upwards, and then if you are sad, it goes below the baseline. So you have the baseline, up, down, which is part of life, which is what makes up our experience of life on our daily, on our day-to-day basis. It's normal to have good days, bad days, and neutral days. Okay, and the difference to bipolarity is that those curves, those extremes, they're much more pronounced. Okay, so let's say the baseline is the same, and then if I'm happy, I'm elated. It explodes upwards, and if I'm sad, it really pours rains on my parade, insane, like the umbrella song. so it's the curves are much higher, much more pronounced, both positive and negative curves, and the implications are that my emotions and my feelings, may they be positive or negative, they're more extreme most of the time. Okay, so so which is where the name bipolar comes from. It's a bipolarity. Imagine a magnet. Okay, it has a positive and negative, and they are divided, and you have a very pronounced, a very wide set of in range of emotions, and the thing about it is that it's unpredictable. So it doesn't necessarily correlate with the actual positive and negative experiences that can trigger particular moods. No, it has a will of its own, so it's basically almost independent. It's like a little child you have in you, and this child, on some days it feels like Christmas, and on some days it feels like your grandmother died, so yeah. it's like having this little child, and you cannot control this little child. So, or you can only control it to a certain extent. All right, and so in practice, what does it mean? So let's talk about the private sphere first. What does it mean for me privately for my private life. It means that getting together with people, for example, can be a roulette, a game of roulette. It's like sometimes I feel great with people, and sometimes I feel really shitty in the company of people. And as I mentioned before, it's unpredictable. So my social gatherings, they can be very rewarding, or they can be absolutely miserable. You know, um, so let's say birthday party should be a very happy event, but for whatever reason, I would be sad and would be depressed and would be fatigued, and that to an extreme, as if I had just ran a marathon and had lost my dog. So um, and that's what I mean with the control aspect. It's very difficult to keep it under wraps, and almost impossible. And this is something actually that you should not be doing. You should live out your emotions, even if they are extreme, as in my case, as in personality disorders. So um, you should accept it. You should welcome it. And getting back to the social point, so social gatherings are complicated. Events are complicated for me as well. They can be good, terrible, awesome, or absolutely shitty, miserable, and horrendous. And I cannot steer it properly or the way I would like to, right? So, um, yeah, and so sometimes it feels like I'm really introverted. Sometimes it feels like I'm really extroverted, and that's in my case, the greatest manifestation. What does it mean in terms of professional life and day-to-day activities? It not only mood is affected, but also other aspects of yourself, such as energy levels and fatigue levels and sleep and activity levels and hormonal fluctuations. So it has a very systemic effect on the entire body. So in terms of energy, so what does that mean? The energy, when I'm very elated, then the energy explodes. It goes through the roof. It gives me absolute flow state for 10 hours in a row, and I will not get distracted. I will focus. It will be like laser and sharp focus, like nothing you've ever experienced before. So it's almost obsessive focus. Um, so that happens, and then the other side of the coin, that's exactly the opposite, right? And so there are days I can't do anything, or anything that actually feels productive or feels like I'm moving the needle, as a creative alchemist. So there's that energy. In terms of sleep as well. So sometimes I can even sleep 10 hours in a row, and sometimes I can only sleep 3 or 4. So once again, it's unpredictable. Let me see what else. Yeah, energy levels, sleep levels, mood levels, obviously. And so yeah, another very important point is this affects my meeting preparedness, or whatever you call it. So if I want to take part in meetings or not. So there are some days that I feel the downs, and I just prefer to cancel all meetings, or every call and every telephone call and video call and meetings and reunions and whatever. So some days I just cancel it because I don't the downward slope is very pronounced, and I really really don't want to take any meetings. And so those are the days I choose to try to focus on what I call the meta skills, which are writing and like the skills where drama and sadness actually propels you forward, because um, people like to write about greatness and shittiness, basically, right? And so it steers my mind towards that type of activity. And the other side of the coin, once again, I will take 7, 8, 9 meetings in a day, and I would love to take even more. So yeah, today, by the way, I feel mm, neutral, kind of neutral today for some reason. Like I don't really want to do too much, and today is also Saturday, so just trying to relax a little bit. But yeah, recording. It's the only time I get to do some social marketing. Um, so yeah. Okay, let's go to the next point, which would be medication. It's very important. I take medication to stabilize the mood, and so the medication that I take is indeed called a mood stabilizer, which, as the name says, it's supposed to level the highs and lows, right? It's supposed to reduce the latitude and the variance between the curves, between the mood curves, and it does work quite well actually. So it has affected me very positively, um, insofar as I can have more control, a little bit more control over how I feel and how pronounced those curves are, and that's very exceptionally helpful. I take it in the morning because it also gives me energy, and so I can only recommend it. Of course, talk to your doctor. The psychiatrist would be the right person to talk to about concerning this topic. Don't be afraid. Just go there, talk to a doctor, get yourself a diagnosis, and don't be afraid of taking medication if it really helps, because it has absolutely revolutionized my condition. And so there are days I feel almost normal, which is, something I can never have pictured 10 years ago. And so, yeah, very helpful. Okay, so the secret here is to turn that weakness into a strength. So, what did it teach me? It taught me to be more disciplined, not a discipline. Because when I have my social days, so to speak, um, then um, actually discipline in productiveness. Because, example, if when I have my social days, I can cram in 10 meetings into one single session, basically, and not worry about any other meetings during the week. So I just cram it into one single um, chronologic session on a single day. So I get it out of the way. I use my social awareness on those particular days to empathize with people and to listen, to really listen, to actively listen. So it's made me a much better listener than I was before. So I because of this very high elatedness and feelings and endorphins, I can empathize with people and I can sympathize and I can listen. So it's taught me to sharpen my listening skills. It's taught me to be disciplined and productive on those days, for example, right? Where meetings can be a terrible waste of time, but if you put it all into one single session, then you're free to focus on the needle moving aspects of your career on the other days. So that's fantastic. And on the other side of the hand, the other side of the coin, also it taught me to be disciplined and to be accepting and to be, more human and kind towards myself. Because on those days where I don't feel social, I use those days, as I mentioned, to sharpen my meta skills and to sharpen my individuality, basically to work on the pillars of my personality, because it gives me this deep connection with myself. When you feel sad, when you feel down, it gives you perspective for the good things, and so uh, that has been fantastic actually for me. Those days, it's not like I don't produce anything. No, it's actually when I get into ideas and when I have the piece of or the drama in my mind to let those feelings out, and when I do that, I open the floodgates and ideas flow with it, good or bad, but ideas at the end of the day. And so that's very useful, very useful. What else? Let me think. Yeah, of course, the energy peaks, and naturally the flow. Oh my god, yeah, the flow, the obsession, right? So when I get into that flow, it's an elated flow. It's much deeper than the normal flow that people get into sometimes. So it's much more pronounced. And when I get into that flow, man, I feel unstoppable, and my mind just creates connections. And I feel like on the movie Limitless, I just took a pill, and suddenly the world is clear to me, and it's clear what I have to do. And so the focus comes like a package, like a nitro package consisting of pure caffeine and endorphins and cannabinoids and Coca-Cola and Red Bull, but without the crash. So it's really amazing when that happens. And when that happens, then, well, I choose to do the important work that I have to do, and that's how it helps me output cool things sometimes. And so, yeah, those are examples of how I deal with it. And I think the bottom line is you have to live with it. And so if you have to live with it, why not accept it and turn it around and make the best out of it, and turn it into a tool, because everybody can be sad, everybody can be happy. It's the experience of life. But having this, it gives me, what they say, it's better to be hated or loved rather than being ignored or passive. So along those lines, man, I think you know what I mean. And so it's been my superpower in that respect. And I tell you, don't be afraid of it. Embrace it, and be open about it, and accept it, and integrate it, and turn it into your superpower, into your super weapon. It can be your super weapon. Trust me. And it took me 10 years to find this out. More, actually. I feel I had felt it since I was 17. Today I'm 35. So it's like 18 years. It has taken me 18. Oh, okay, I've discovered this in the in the last couple of years, not today, but let's say it took me 15 years to get to the conclusion. And I'm giving it to you, so you don't have to go through it. Hopefully, through the trial and error of the whole thing, just to grasp this. So I'm giving it to you. What you make out of it, or what you make with it, that's up to you. But I would hope that you can see things the way I see them in that regard, and that you can make the best out of it. That's what I wish you from the bottom of my heart, because things get better once you embrace them. So there you go. I think this was very philosophical, but I hope the message is clear. And to those out there with similar issues, definitely you're not alone, and definitely it can be your differential. And that was mind blowing, and it still kind of is. So yeah, if you found some value, hit the like button, subscribe. I'll see you in the next episode. Cheers.